What's up, everybody?
Hey, good morning. It's Kaila Bailey and Jonas.
What's going on, guys?
So we are one of your new podcast hosts for the Mega Agent Collective.
Yep.
So we're really excited. I'm a little nervous.
Me too, definitely. It's like the first time that I've been on a podcast and the first time I've gone live. So this is two firsts for me.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna rock it today. I'm really excited. I think we picked a great topic. We got a good dynamic going. Kayla is a more experienced agent. I'm, fairly new to the real estate game, so I think this will be fun, and I think you guys will get a lot of value out of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit about me. I've been in real estate for 5 years. Came from a property management background, got my real estate license to get a job promotion at work, and actually told some of the girls that I was going to real estate school with that they were crazy for wanting to sell houses.
That's awesome.
So I ended up getting into it, and I love it. I've been a top producer since my first year in the business, closed 32 homes within my first 12 months. I've been a six-figure producer since day one, well, day 365, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I started a real estate team, and I love all things real estate, and I love providing value for people. What about you, Jonas?
So I got started out of necessity. I actually lost my job during COVID, and then kind of came the time where I had to make a decision on what I wanted to do. I've always been interested in the real estate game, and then I just made the jump. I got started in September of 2020, so great time to start. My first year was awesome. I did 16 deals, 10 million in volume, and I really didn't know what I was doing. I'm a solo agent. I didn't go on a team. I decided to just try it on my own. Now in my second year, and as everybody knows, the market's shifting. So it's a little bit different for me, and I'm still trying to figure things out, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And same thing, I feel like as long as you're coming from a standpoint of providing value, it all works out.
That's awesome. So Jonas and I decided that we wanted to kind of go over mid-year check-in for goals today. We're halfway through the year, and I know all of you guys created business plans at the end of last year. And we're kind of really starting, even though this is the middle of the year, we're actually wrapping up a year within the next quarter, right?
Yeah.
Because this, in my life, in real estate, the first quarter actually starts in October. That's when you really start your year, and that's when you start planning for the upcoming year. We are seeing a lot of like market shifts, so maybe your goals have changed from the beginning of the year, but that's kind of what we felt like we should talk about today. Where we're at with our real estate goals, like what did we originally start with, and then just kind of diving into best practices for the remainder of this final quarter of the year, and how to get prepared for basically the last quarter of the year, which is your first quarter of your real estate year.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we just jump right into it, and kind of why don't you go into how you start setting your yearly goals in October, and then we can kind of bring it back to where you're at right now, what you're doing, on a monthly basis to see if you're hitting your goals, what you do to adjust, because as we know, it never works out the way that you initially plan out or set the plan initially.
So I always start with a business plan. I want to know like what my income goals are for the year. Now, I have a real estate team, so my structure is a little bit different than maybe somebody who was like a solo agent. Excuse me. So my goals are not only individual for me, individual for my agents, but also as my team collectively. And we're always kind of having to readjust. So we do a lot of numbers tracking. So the first thing that I do when I start preparing for the first quarter of the year is look at all of my business. Where did my highest source come from? So I'll take a look at all of my transactions, and I'll see did I have a lot of for sale by owners? Did I have a lot of expired and withdrawn listings? Did I get a lot of listings leveraging other listings? Internet leads? What came from my CRM? What came from my mailers? So I really dive into all of those resources that I'm paying for. And find out which gave me the best return on my investment. And then anything that I'm putting money into that I didn't actually get a lot of business from, that's where I'm making changes in my budget. So so understanding where your business came from the year before, and then we'll give you kind of a clear picture as far as where you're going forward. I use the number tracking system in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. There's literally detailed instructions on how to create this tracker. So if you don't know where to start on that, that's a really great resource for you. And then basically once you have your production goals figured out, you can kind of start to make a list of, where you're going to pour your energy to, start building your budget. And then really once you have your budget, you can start to line up all those other goals that are going to help you bring the income in to make it affordable to put the money out into those resources.
Awesome. I think that's great, because what you're essentially doing is you're analyzing your past year and then trying to figure out the kinks based on the numbers to project the next, right? So for me, this was a lot different. I did not have anything to go off of in the beginning. So mine started all with a dollar sign, right? So I said, okay, my goal was 150,000 my first year. And I looked at what the average transaction value in GCI is in this market. And based on that, I said, okay, I need to sell roughly 12 to 15 houses here in this market, right? To hit that goal. And then it's really about, okay, where's my business coming from? So I established essentially 5 pillars in the beginning. My main business source was FSBOs, expireds. I didn't have a lot of money going in. So I was just like, what is the cheapest way for me to get in front of people? It's picking up the phone. So that's kind of what I did in the beginning. And then just figuring out your conversion ratios, right? Because in the beginning, I suck on the phone. I suck at the appointments. So for me to go in there and get
just
a listing,
all around sucking.
Exactly. It's just like you just gotta go through the suck, because in the beginning it's such a steep learning curve. Right? I mean, you're not an expert in the field yet. You're trying to learn that. Then you're trying to meet with clients, present value that you just learned. So it's like you're just running while you can't even walk. That's what it felt like in the beginning. But that's essentially what got me to actually achieve that goal in the first year. I just kept, chipping at it, and I was like, okay, in the beginning, I'm going to meet with 5 people, and that will probably get me to 1 listing. It didn't really work out that way. I had to meet with more, but at least, then I was able to make adjustments. Because if you just say, okay, I want to sell X amount of houses, and that's pretty much it, and you don't really have a clear path to look at what you've done and make these adjustments.
Exactly.
It's really hard to know where you need to improve. Because I knew that my scripts needed to get better and my presentations needed to get better. That was the only thing that I worried about.
Right. So one of the biggest things that I tell like the agents on my team to get to that point where you know what to track is you should be tracking your prospecting hours. You should be tracking who you're prospecting to, how many calls you made, how many calls made a live contact, how many live contacts it takes you to get an appointment, how many appointments that you have to go on to sign a contract, how many contracts you have to sign for a closing.
Absolutely.
And when you're just starting out and you don't have the contracts or the appointments or anything, the only thing that you're tracking is who you're calling, how many calls you're making, and how many calls does it take to get an appointment. Once you get to that point, then you have numbers that you can back up, and then it becomes a numbers game. You can show up to your office and be like, if I make 50 calls right now, on average, I'm going to talk to 3 people. I need to talk to 10 people to get 1 appointment. You're going to know how to either increase your calls that day or kind of get an idea of what your numbers are for the week.
Absolutely.
But tracking goals are essential to your success, because
you have to.
If you don't know where you're going, where are you going to end up? Where are you going to end up?
And I think in the beginning, I was, I had to do a mindset shift, because I hated making calls, and I'm sure a lot of people do. It doesn't have to be like this cold call vibe. Because essentially what you're trying to do, you're trying to just call somebody and have a conversation about real estate, put yourself at the top of the mind with them when it comes to real estate, so that when they're able and ready to make a decision to either buy or sell, that they're thinking of you. I want to talk a little bit about follow-up in that sense. Like, what is your, what's your strategy there? Because we all know 1 phone call, it happens to come listing calls, but they're rare, and you can't build your business on that, right? We talked about that yesterday when we prepped. We said, if you're going into this, putting your phone on the desk and just waiting for your phone to ring, trouble is coming.
It's really hard to build a real estate business when you haven't put in the hours to create that referral system that's going to continue to feed you. When I first got in the industry, I had a 5-year goal that by year 5, I wanted to have a 100% referral-based business. And in order to do that, I had to talk to as many people as possible, get as many clients as possible. And I looked at every single person like, you're either going to transact with me or you're going to send me somebody who will. So you were either an income source or a referral source. And then I build my relationships around that. And then as far as follow-up goes, you should have follow-up goals. You should have some kind of system in place to, once you communicate with somebody, what are you going to do next? So I put everybody in 3 categories. We've got a hot, warm, and a nurture category.
Yep.
All of my hot buyers and sellers are going to transact with me within the next 90 days.
Yep.
So if anything changes, they come off my hot list. I look at my hot list every single day. I actually have my hot list in my bag right there. It's just an 8.5 by 11 lined notebook piece of paper, says hot at the top.
Love it.
I've got everybody categorized, whether or not they're a buyer or seller, and kind of what the next step is for those people. My warm people are anybody who is 3 months to 6 months out.
Gotcha.
Those are my people who are in credit repair, maybe saving some money,
Yep.
but they have the ability to buy or sell. They're just not quite ready yet. Homeowners that maybe are waiting for a more favorable market. So this is the time of year, especially with the shift, that I'm telling people, like, maybe we should wait until the spring market because everything's kind of, there's a lot of inventory. Everything's really slow. Interest rates are really high. Although I feel like right now with our market, it's kind of a gamble as far as what we're going to get in the spring.
Yep.
But my nurture people are anybody who's 6 months to a year to 18 months out. And then, so going back to follow up, my hot people, they get talked to as many times as possible during the week.
Okay.
So every day, if possible, I'm either sending them properties, telling them there's nothing available, next steps. And then my, with a minimum of once a week. My warm people are every other week, sometimes every 3 weeks.
And these are phone conversations, by the way, right? The hot people, you're
not
having,
necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, I think it's important to cycle through all of the methods of communication.
Yep.
So I try to be on social media with all of my prospective clients and current clients. So I'm engaging with them as frequently as possible. Anytime I scroll past something of theirs, I never just engage with it with like a like or a heart. I actually leave like purposeful comments on it.
That's great. Yep.
And then like, cause their friends don't know who I am. I'm like, who the hell is this chick? Like leaving all these badass comments, And then I will call, I'll text, I'll email.
Yep.
So whatever method of communication you can get to that day, that's what I use.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's just a text, here's some properties for you. Sometimes it's a phone call, how are you? Creating that relationship.
Right. And it's like it's interesting because I think that's so smart because you're creating this omnipresence. When they think about real estate, they're automatically going to associate that with you, right?
Yep.
I think that's awesome. To like kind of like reverse jump back, where are you getting your leads from? I know that when you first started, everybody's like SOI.
Yeah.
For me as an agent, that like
Did that freak you out?
It freaked me out.
I did not want to talk to my spirit.
I did not want to talk to my spirit.
No, I was like, I don't want them to like look at me.
No, it felt like sleazy. I was like,
yeah.
Like, hey, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm a new agent.
You guys, you want to buy or sell a house? Like, nah, So if you, and some people do, like some people are really good with them, right? Now, I think it's a great lead source. That's something that I'm developing right now too, because it's just like if the people already know you and you have the confidence, go for it. But at the beginning, like, what are other lead sources that you go after? We talked about, I think you mentioned your title company yesterday.
Yes.
Like, what are these conversations that you're trying to have? Let's say you have to have an average of, 20 conversations a day.
Yeah.
Where are you starting out?
So that's another goal that you should set for yourself at the beginning of your year in October is like, what kind of lead generation are you going to do? Because like in real estate, if you're not lead generating, like your business is slowly dying.
Yep.
It's not a viable business. It cannot sustain itself. Like you have to constantly do it.
You have to.
And everybody thinks that you guys have to go out there and like pay for internet leads and pay for leads. And like, you don't. There's so many.
You certainly can if you have deep pockets. You can.
Yeah.
It works.
Let me tell you guys something. There's a website that I use. It's called truepeoplesearch.com. Okay. You can put in an address and you can get every single phone number that is associated with that person.
Yep.
Sometimes there's email addresses. And I use that for prospecting. I've been using it for years. You don't have to pay for the numbers. That information's free and available. And I do a lot of circle prospecting. So those are free leads.
Yeah.
You can go to your title representative and say, hey, look, there's a bunch of real estate activity taking place in this specific neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get every single homeowner in this neighborhood who's owned their home for 3 years or more. Okay, you're going to get an Excel spreadsheet that is going to be emailed to you, and you can go in and as you're looking up the people and you get a good phone number, you put it into the Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
Right? You get their number, you have a conversation, you get their email address. That's a complete lead. They may not be looking to buy or sell or transact in any way, but you have complete information.
Exactly.
That is
Yes.
somebody you can call back.
You can mail them. You know, you have
Exactly.
now means to reach out.
You
to
now
them.
have a means to reach out, and that person knows if they're a homeowner in their neighborhood, like they know neighbors. Like I've gotten listings off of like when I'm prospecting off of these lists, and they're like, no, you know, we're not interested in selling or anything. And I'm like, I really appreciate that. Your neighborhood is wonderful. I wouldn't want to leave either. But like, do you know your neighbors? Do you happen to know anybody who's maybe looking to make a change?
Right.
Oh yeah, you know my neighbor Susie, she's looking to do some. Don't tell her I sent you. Like I won't. I'm gonna call her right now though and be like,
Yeah.
hey Susie, what's happening?
Yeah.
You know, and I've gotten listings that way. You
That's
know,
awesome. Yeah, because I think in the beginning, or I think there's a mentality with a lot of people, they all want now business.
yeah,
Which is great, right? I mean,
Right.
that's kind of what I use the Facebook's and the expires for, because they have already raised their hand and said, hey,
yeah,
we want to sell.
we want to
We
sell.
want to sell. So
Those are also the people who hate realtors.
Oh,
So
they hate them. They hate them.
Kudos
so
to
it's,
you.
Yeah, it's just like, it's the absolute worst phone call. So going from that to social prospect,
yeah,
you know, it feels like a surf after that. But it's also always good, like what you said, to grab those long-term people. Even
Yeah.
a lady that told you on the phone, hey, I'm not interested to sell.
mm-hmm.
If you ask for permission to follow up with them,
yeah,
now they're in your database.
Yep.
You follow up with them through mail, through phone calls. You know, obviously they're not going to be like your hot leads where you're calling them
no,
every
yeah,
week. Maybe you're doing a touch, you know, every quarter.
yeah,
But if they're bringing you a check in 60 months, I'll
It's
take
worth
it.
it, yeah.
You know what I mean? If that's what the conversation that I had with that person got me, like 12 months or, you know, 12 months in the past, take it.
Take it, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can also go to like when I was a new agent, I went to all like the top producers.
Yep.
In my office, like those guys are all like paying buku for leads, and they can't convert all of them. So I actually just told them like, can you give me a printout of like all of your leads that are 2 years old or more?
Yeah.
I'll call through them. Anything that I bring to the surface, I'll pay you a referral fee for.
Yep.
And if I had a new agent come up to me and was like, can I have a stack of your old leads? I'd be like, call them, take them,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
I have literally like a stack of leads this big that are just like printouts from like just everywhere, like
That is a great
addresses,
strategy,
farms.
honestly.
I mean, if you guys like don't have people to call, like that just blows my mind. You're just not being creative enough.
Right. What about open houses? I've heard that is working well for people too, like hosting open houses for
Yeah.
other agents.
Yeah,
Have
open
you done
houses are great. I mean, you do open houses, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely do. And I picked up 3 transactions through it, you know, so it's
Yeah.
like the other thing though that's dangerous with, you know, I feel like this is turning into like a lead generation type of thing, goal setting, but it goes hand
It's
in
still
hand.
goals, yeah.
It goes hand in hand. Is for me, especially in the beginning, I had shiny object syndrome like so bad because I'm like, oh, let me try this. Oh, what? Open houses, cold calling, internet leads. Like you just don't know
Yeah,
until you really have kind of found your groove.
yeah,
And then I started reading The One Thing by Gary Keller.
yeah,
And I love that book. So like that was for me kind of a breaking point. I was like, I'm gonna just, you know, shut everything out. I'm gonna try this one thing.
right.
And one of my mentors said, a business is built like a palm tree. So you got to build like this fat stump,
Uh-huh.
and then the tree grows, and then you can branch out. and
That's
move,
awesome.
You know, so that definitely stuck with me.
I built my business on the 3 little pigs, you know, like building a house out of straw versus sticks versus bricks. And I was like, I'm just going to take my time. It's going to take me forever to make money, but I'm building a brick house.
There you go. Yeah, and it does take time. It does take time.
Does, yeah.
I mean, what's your usually like contact to close cycle? What are your averages?
I don't know that off the bat. I keep everything in an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. But you do track it.
I do track it, yeah,
important.
absolutely. I do track my conversion. Now that I've been in the business for so long, it's really not important for me to track that because I've got a well-oiled machine at this point. Like I know what I need to do to make business happen, but I'm also 100% referral based. I'm at that point in my business where my phone does ring. But as far as like my girls go, like on my team, like that's a really important things to track is like how many phone calls they're making. I have one girl, we have a big window in our office, and I have her write on the window she tallies how many calls that she makes because it has to be like right in front of her, you know. And like going back to open houses, and as far as like staying on topic with the goals, is like if you are going to have open houses, one of your pillars of business for the following year, like what is your goal? How many open houses are you going to do a month? Are you going to do, you know, one every single weekend? You know, and then like what happens when summer comes up and you want to be at the lake or doing something fun or go camping? Like you have to really take a look at your entire year in front of you and pre-plan your open houses. I'm going to do one this day, this day, this day, this day, this day, this day, because if you don't plan for that, you're planning to fail. You're not going to have, you're not going to reach the goal. It has to be scheduled. So put all of those dates in your calendar so that when you come into the office on that Monday morning, you already know you've got an open house you got to prepare for that weekend. Like that's goals, you know? And then you should also have another goal of how many people how many clients am I going to get from each open house? Right. So like as a new agent, you probably don't have that strong of a conversion ratio being in front of people. You probably want to have a goal to walk away with one client from each open house, right? But if you're a more experienced agent like me, and I can like generate a conversation with the tree that walks through the door, you know, like I want to try to get, you know, 4 to 5 clients from that. I want to try to get homeowners. I'm going to be door knocking the neighborhood, inviting the homeowners to come over and see my work so that way I can leverage that listing for more listings. So depending on like what your goal is for the open house, whether you're trying to get listings from it or you're trying to get buyers from it, like that, you have to have absolute clarity when you walk into that open house, knowing what you're there for. Because if you just show up, just hoping to meet some people, like you're going to fail epically. You're not going to know how to follow up to those people. Like, what are you going to do after you leave that open house and you have a list of people who've signed in? What's next?
Exactly.
Right? You should be sending, or at least this is what I tell, you know, I coach people on, is you should be sending a video text message. Saying, here's my face. You came to this house. Thank you so much for coming. Because how many open houses do you think people are looking at on any given weekend?
Oh, it's a ridiculous amount.
A ridiculous amount. I sent out an email. I could not believe this. I sent out an email to my sphere, letting them know what open houses there were. And I had to break it up into each neighborhood because there was literally like 74 open houses going on in one weekend.
Gosh, yeah, it's crazy.
There was so much. Like,
it's too much noise.
Exactly.
You have to have that.
Exactly.
And going into, you know, how are you going to collect their information? You know?
How are you going to collect their information? Yes, everything is a strategy and everything is numbers.
It has to be planned out.
Exactly. Like, are you just going to put signs out and expect people to show up? Are you going to go get balloons for that? Like, are you going to have water and donuts for your open house? What is the plan? You know, and so that's super important. And then one of the things that I really like that we talked about yesterday is like when you have a goal, how do you like reverse engineer that and like break it down?
Exactly. Do you want to dive in and just like do one? Because I kind of did a little bit. Like let's just say you come in and said, first year, I think 6 figures is kind of like what everybody wants to do. You know, so I want to make $100,000, right? So where do we start?
So let me see your paper real quick. This is what I do. And then I want to see how you broke it down first. Let's do that. Okay.
So when 150,000, right? So the number that I look at first is what is going to be my average commission on a sale, right? Because that's going to determine how many units I need to sell. I like to go conservative with it. Here in this market, I'm probably looking at 10,000 average, right?
10.
So I would probably do 75, but we're just going to go with the 10 just to keep the numbers even, right? So that would put me at 15 closings for the year. Right? So then I go right into how many people do I need to talk to on a daily basis, and then I total it up to the annual number, and you can then do that quarterly, monthly, so that when you're reviewing, you can always look, January, dang, I'm down here. February, you might be up. So I'm not stressing if in the first week of January I'm not hitting my contact goal for the week is 150 people. Right. So if I'm doing 120 in the first week, I'm not going to reach my goal, because I can still project, and I can still, make that up in the following week, the following month, the following quarter. And then I essentially look at, how many conversations lead to the appointments, because that's super important too. It's not about how many people I talk to, it's how many people I can get in front of, right? So like, how many appointments can I get? So that's the next step down. It's the calls, the conversations, the appointments. How many listings do I get from the appointments? So it goes,
Well, like, and who you're calling too. So like, if your goal is to get 15 closings, like how many of those are listings? How many of those are buyers?
Right. So my business was entirely based on listings.
Perfect.
I treated it all. Any buyer transaction was essentially the cherry. Right. So like because I can't control it. Right. I mean, you can to a point. I just wanted to go after listings. That was my strategy. And then I essentially said, 5 appointments will get me 1 listing, but obviously not every listing is going to sell. So I did a 75% ratio. So out of the 10 listings, 7.5 will sell. And that's essentially how I came up with the number. And then I knew I needed to talk to, I think my number was 6,735 people annually. And that's how I essentially broke it down. But it changes because in the beginning, as you said, you're not as good at the conversations.
Right.
I didn't know what I was doing in the open houses.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to collect information. So I pretty much, I just went for it.
Yeah, I love it.
And I was just winging it. So that's kind of like how I had learned.
Yeah.
But that's essentially how I reverse engineered, like you said, is what is your income goal?
Yeah.
What is the average commission? How many people do I need to talk to? How many appointments do I need to go on? This will generate the closings. And then from the closings, this will generate the listings. And then how many listings will actually close? And that's awesome. The goal. Yeah.
So I love your process of all of that. And for like you experienced agents who are on here watching, like totally you caught all of that. But I just want to break it down for you guys just in a really simple way.
Yeah.
So if you're driving, don't do this, okay? But if you're sitting at your desk or you have an ability to write something down, I'm just going to walk you through some quick steps. So I want you to write down your annual income goal, right? For this example, I'm just going to use $100,000, right? Okay, so what is $100,000 a month? What is that?
For the $100,000 a month?
$4,000 a month? No, wait, no.
No, it's...
Okay, I haven't had enough coffee. Okay, I can calculate commissions, can't calculate...
I think it's like 10, something like 83, if that's right, 12. Like, yeah.
Okay.
$8,300. I think it's $8,300.
Okay, whatever. We're just gonna do that.
Yeah.
$8,300.
If it's not right,
don't judge us. Okay, we'll have a
matter.
calculator next time. So $8,300 a month, and then what you want to do now that you know what your monthly goal is, you want to take your average sales price, which is in our areas like we'll just say 500,000.
Yep.
And then you're gonna divide that by your average commission percentage. So whether or not that's 2.5%. If you're going for buyers, it's kind of average in our market. Or if you're a listing agent, you would want to divide that by 3%. And then once you have that number, you know how many transactions you need to close to make that happen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. So number of transactions.
Because obviously, going off of the 3%, just because it's an easier number to work with, you would have $15,000 per transaction.
Per transaction, yep, exactly. So typically when you break this down, if you're a solo agent, it's about 2 to 3 transactions a month to make 100,000 based on a $500,000 like average purchase price. And then if you are on a team and you have like a split with somebody, it's more like 4 to 5 transactions a month on average to make that $100,000. So once you know how many transactions you have, like if you're new agents, that's all you should care about is like, I need to close 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 transactions a month at an average purchase price of 500,000. Once you have that, it's going to be really easy to kind of turn away the people who are like looking at like $100,000 listings. Like that doesn't meet your goal. Right? You're going to want to focus all of your time into those transaction numbers because that's what's going to help you accomplish that income goal. And you're going to think about that when you're prospecting and you're circle prospecting or you're doing open houses. Like if you have, if you want a $500,000 purchase price, or better yet, say you only want to close 2 houses and you're on a team, well, you should probably have like a $600,000 to $700,000 purchase price that you're going for. Those would be the houses that I'm holding open. Those would be the neighborhoods at the average value that I'd be prospecting to. You want to get like super laser focused on where you need to be putting your time in order to make this output go. And then at that point, that's when you're going to start tracking your phone calls, your conversations.
Exactly. I was just going to say, that's like top line. And then you go
So break it up into like 2.
Yeah, you have to break it up into 2, exactly. Because it's like, this is what it's like the goal of the transactions, but you can't do that. Right. Like you can't close a transaction on a daily basis, if that makes any sense.
You sure can.
But you can make the phone calls.
Exactly. Right.
And then like you said something yesterday, I'm trying to remember, you said in this business, the people that don't know what to do don't want to put in the work because it's like the how is very obvious.
Yeah.
It's very obvious.
It's very
right?
obvious.
Like what to do.
You guys all know what you need to
Yeah,
do.
actually not the how, the what to do.
The what to do, yeah.
It's very obvious, right?
Right.
The how, like you said, there's so many different strategies, but even that, is not necessarily, and I would love to get your feedback on that too, what I found to be the biggest struggle. It's the constant and consistent execution
Yes.
in what you need to do in order to do that. And we talked about mindset, that's like, so now we kind of have this funnel where it's like, okay, we know what to do. We have some strategies on how to do it.
Yeah.
We talked about, the lead generation tactics and all that stuff. What do you do to execute on a consistent basis? Because this, for me, is a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with real estate.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
No, it doesn't.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you do to set your, I guess yourself right to look at your goals and say, I'm going to hit it. Like I'm going to go at it. Right. So tell me a little bit about that.
So I think having like a daily structure is super important. I think like most of us realtors, we all come from like a really high structured 9-to-5 job, where we knew what our obligations were when we got there, right?
Yep.
We showed up, we clocked in, we did our things, and we went home.
Easy.
When you are a business owner in real estate, I see a huge divide between agents who are looking at this like a job, like a 9-to-5 job, right? Absolutely. And then there's other people who are looking at this like it's an entrepreneurial step to be a business owner, and the gates are open. Like you can do anything with this business, right? You can write a book, you can be the president. I
have a question. Can you be successful? And I know the answer, but you said this yesterday. Can you be successful with both of these mindsets in the real estate game?
And both mindsets as far
with either one. Like, can you be successful with the entrepreneurial? The answer is yes. Right?
You can.
You have to treat it differently, right?
But that depends on what your goal is. You know, like my goal is to eventually be able to step out of production and go and be a real estate coach somewhere and have somebody I get paid to fly around the world, like that's what I'm using this as for. So I'm very career minded. Like this is my business. I'm a small business owner. I tell people that I'm not just a realtor, like I'm an entrepreneur. I want to use this industry to leverage my next step in my life. Now, if you're just okay with, being average, you just, some people are fine with that. Doesn't mean that they can't pay their bills.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Who am I to determine what their idea of success looks like for them? If some people are stay-at-home moms and one closing a month is going to provide them financial freedom, then they should do that.
I definitely would.
So absolutely, yes, you can be successful in both areas. It just depends on what your idea of success looks like. Okay.
Exactly. Because the one area would probably be like what you now do.
Yes.
You are a self-starter.
Right.
The other avenue was like kind of like that employee mindset.
Yes.
You might be better off on a team.
You might be better off on a team.
Because that's more, you have a leader.
Yes.
It's more kind of like that 9-to-5 structure. It's
yes.
like, this is what you do, and then you do this, and you do this. Okay, did you do your task today? That kind of thing,
exactly. Right? Yeah. So I think the hardest part about getting started in the industry is trying to decide which track you're going to go on. If you're a new agent and you don't have any systems, you don't have the ability to get a mentor, like you should immediately start interviewing team members.
100%.
And then if you're somebody who wants to go on your own, then you should have goals aligned with that and get a mentor for it. Yeah. You should never try to do it by yourself.
I hired a coach right out of the gate.
And I joined the team.
Yeah. That's exactly, and those are really the two options, because he told me, if you want to succeed in this business, you can in both avenues.
Yeah.
But it's either going to be a team or it's going to be a coach.
Right. Exactly.
And the main piece is accountability. Because if you're just, starting off and you don't have somebody looking over your shoulder and actually,
but you have too much freedom to make mistakes.
Oh yeah, you can just go and hang out and watch Netflix. It's
don't know how to handle that amount of freedom.
No.
When we literally spend our entire lives in school and within a job being told what to do and how to do it in order to take home a paycheck, now you don't have anybody telling you what to do or how to do it, and you're responsible for all of your own actions, and your income is going to reflect the energy that you put into your business, right?
100%.
And so that's the terrifying thing. It's almost paralyzing when you're like, I have all this freedom to do whatever I want. What does that even look like, right?
Yeah, you're sitting at home and saying, oh, I'm gonna make phone calls today, and then your wife, your husband's like, I'm going to go to the lake.
Yeah.
I want to go to the lake.
Well, I feel like the easiest way to break down, if you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with your career, is understand where your lead generation, your money-making activities are, right?
Yep.
There's an acronym called PI time. It's PIE. P time is like paid time, right? This is your highest income per hour. It's contracts, clients, and prospecting. That's it. So like if you're just getting started, you don't have a team, you don't have any structure, and you don't have clients, you don't have contracts, prospecting is literally your number one thing. If you're doing anything else, checking your email, doing some research, like you're wasting your time, right? You need to be experimenting with different call blocks during the day. Like, am I reaching more people from like 7 to 9? Am I reaching more people from 9 to 11? Am I reaching more people during lunch hour? Am I reaching more? Like, I love to prospect between 4:30 and 6:30. I make the most contacts at that time, but I've made weeks and weeks and days and days and days of phone calls to find that perfect time for me. It works for my schedule, and that's when I can do it, and I have the biggest chance of success. So that should be your number one goal, like as a new agent. And if you're a more experienced agent, you're gonna have different goals aligned with that. Maybe you have more referrals. Like as an experienced agent, my prospecting hours is not really out there to get new business. It's out there to nurture the circle I've already created.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as far as kind of putting yourself in the right frame of mind, what do you do to kind of prime yourself to really perform at that highest level? Because it's a my coach always says it's a contact sport. It is. Like how do you? Because sometimes I'm kind of an introvert by nature. Like I don't necessarily want to talk to like a ton of people, but I do certain things in the morning to set myself up to get into that right frame where I can go out, and I enjoy meeting with people.
So there's like this scientist that created this system called like the rejection challenge or something. And basically like in order to get over your fear of rejection, you have to like actively go out and seek rejection every single day. And so when I was prospecting, I had a really hard time with people like being rude, or especially when you don't know what to say, you're kind of fumbling over your words and you do not sound trustworthy at all. Like you're getting
like the cold sweats.
You're getting the cold sweats and like, or they're like, yeah, I'm interested. And you're like, great, and I don't know what to do now. Like I expected you to say no, but like I ended up prospecting looking for the no's. And that like kind of shifted my reality. Like when I was looking for the failures, the rejection, I actually got the outcome of like the appointments and everything that I wanted, and I was able to get over my fear of rejection. So,
awesome, that's really cool. I hear that a lot. It's like go for the no, look for the no's. There's a great book out there. It's called Fanatical Prospecting by Jeff Blount. And he says, he wouldn't track anything else other than the amount of no's that he got. Because it got him, like you said, just like the repetition of like that no, you just get comfortable.
It's a reverse thing that happens in your mindset. So,
absolutely.
So just kind of like wrapping up today, we mentioned that we would say like some of 10 things that we wish we knew, right? When setting goals, either in the beginning of our career or even up to this point. So why don't you share a few of them that you have, and then I'll share a few of mine, and then we can kind of get wrapped up for today.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one thing that you mentioned with your pie strategy, that was huge for me. Execute on one strategy only. I wish if I had done that in the beginning and just focus on one thing and just doing that one thing and getting good at that, I would have made a lot more money other than looking, okay, I'm doing this now. What else can I be doing? It's like doing less, but doing it better. That was a huge thing. Tracking numbers. Oh my gosh. Like I didn't track my numbers probably consistently until probably 4 or 5 months in. So I had nothing to go off of. Like it was very, chaotic. I didn't know how many people I talked to. I didn't know my conversion ratio. So track your numbers. Whatever you do, like you can write it on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter.
There's a difference between
trackers out there.
On-purpose realtor and an on-accident.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Tracking your numbers. And then the other thing I wish I had known, the money's in the follow-up. It never happens on the first try. I shouldn't say never, but keep following up with people.
How long would you say is like your longest, like from lead contact to closing?
I actually have one deal in escrow right now. I met that buyer at an open house at one of my listings last August. Yes, that's almost a year. That's almost a year.
2 of my listings right now, I got at an open house. One of them was at an open house a year and a half ago. And I got the listing. And then my other one is actually parents from when my daughter was in daycare when she was 2 years old.
What?
She's 5 now. And they're in contract on a house, and I'm selling their house. So I got 2 contracts, and it's 3 years of follow up. 3 years.
There you go. And then that's what I always tell people is like, are you gonna be in business next year?
Yeah.
It's like then follow up with people.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. What else you got?
So I got, what did I say? I said tracker. I already forgot, but I have one more, and this is one that doesn't have anything to do with real estate, but like that priming aspect, like affirmations and just getting in the right frame of mind has changed the way that I treat my business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So mine are, I wish like in the beginning, I scheduled all of like my family time and my like me time into my schedule before I put anything else on there. I missed a lot of baseball games in the beginning, trying to build my business. And like, I feel like, you know, as a new agent, you're just so hungry that like you'll walk away from anything important to take that phone call. I really wish I would have given myself some grace and had a little bit more like family goals in the beginning, because it really did eat up a lot of my time. I do that now. So when I'm planning my week, I actually put in all of my family's activities first, and then I build my schedule around that. And those are appointments. They're just as important to me as listing appointments. The second thing that I wish that I knew was that, like, don't get shiny object syndrome. We kind of talked about that yesterday. You know, you just need a basic CRM. You need just like the basics are so important. Like there is nothing out there that's going to cost you thousands of dollars a month that's going to make you money.
No,
you know, and it will, but that's when you're like producing at like a high level, right?
Absolutely,
where you have a team and you have the need to spend that kind of money. Like you literally can get free leads anywhere, right? And like just go to the basics. There's like no shiny object, no nothing. Find a system that you love, that works for you, stick with it, and like that's
like
all that you
said
need.
In the beginning, like you don't even necessarily need a software CRM.
You don't.
Like,
you can have
system works.
There was, I mean, people who were real estate agents before internet had no cards, you know? Like I don't recommend that system, but you know, like you just all I had to care about was the basics. And I can't tell you how many times I've lost a ridiculous amount of money getting distracted by 100%. Something that literally at the end of the year when I was checking my ROI, I was like, it didn't make me any money. And I spent so much time on that. Oh my God, right? The other thing that I wish I did was I wish I got started with social media and video at the very beginning of my real estate career. I really felt like that I had to have some intelligence or knowledge of the industry. And like, there's so many new agents out there that like are going through what you're going through that I feel like I could have had such a huge network of support if I would have just started all of that earlier. And now like I feel like I'm too late. I'm just now getting like going on it, and like the ship already sailed. So I definitely, if you're not already like putting yourself into like video marketing or social media marketing, like I'm live on my TikTok right now. Like you have to put that as a pillar of your business. You have to. That's why we're at EXP, because the ability to be a cloud brokerage, you know, we're just moving in times with the technology. Start researching blockchains and crypto, like all these things that are coming to our market. Like, don't think that it's not happening. Like it is here to stay.
100%. That's going to change the game. It's 100%.
That's the other thing that I feel like I should have been more aware of is making sure that you track the market like every single month. And you're attending classes, like you're always educating yourself. You're watching videos like this. Like you are never going to be a perfect realtor, but you can always be better. And being like super invested into learning. Like I felt like I had no time for learning because I was trying to transact. But if I would have just taken a step back and listened to a couple scripts or like role played with somebody, like I would have enhanced my success.
Absolutely.
And then the final thing that I wish I would have done in the beginning that I didn't do is writing my goals down.
That's good.
I made a list of my 1-year goals.
And you do vision boards too, right?
I do vision boards, yes, but like my first year, I made a list of my goals and then I folded it up into a piece of paper and I stuck it in a notebook, and I didn't find it for 3 years. And then I opened it and I was like, oh my God, here's my goals. Like, and you know, miraculously I did hit some of them, but I was really disappointed to see that like I completely like wrote this down and just tucked them away. Like your goals should be somewhere where you see them every single day. Like I actually, like if I were to dig into my purse right now, I have a lined piece of paper that's like front and back that has my goals. And like I open that up and I read it every single day and I ask myself like, what can I accomplish today? Or what do I need to do that's like on this list? So your goals are like your children or your lungs or your air, whatever it is, like you should have them literally physically on you all the time.
Yeah, and this is something that we'll probably talk on one of the future episodes. It's kind of like that manifestation thing.
Yeah.
Because I think, you know, what you just said, like having those goals right in front of you, accessible, reading them every day.
Yeah.
It definitely does some magic. It really does.
That's awesome. Jonas, where can people find you?
Instagram, Jonas Buchholz. I'm probably just going to put the handle in the link because my last name, you're not going to figure it out.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I'm big on TikTok. You can find me on TikTok. It's Kaila, Kaila was here. And also on Facebook, Kaila Bailey. You can look me up and follow me. My profile is public. And I would love to connect with you guys. If you have any questions or you want to like spend some time talking about some of the things that we discussed today, either Jonas or I, please find us. We are happy to sit down with you and talk to you about your goals and get you guys lined up for the first quarter of the year that starts in October.
Absolutely. And if you guys have any questions about like the things that we talked about, the goal setting, any like resources that we can provide, you mentioned a couple. Just drop it in the comments and we'll get you guys the resources that we kind of talked about.
I have an Excel sheet that I can share that has that millionaire real estate agent tracking system that's already built in there with all the formulas and everything. So if that's something that you guys would find helpful, let us know.
Yeah.
So cool. Awesome. This was fun. Thanks guys for tuning in our first episode.